Discworld series of fantasy novels, but he's also hugely successful with his books for children. One of them, Johnny and the Dead, has now been adapted for television. It's the story of a boy, an ancient graveyard, and the people buried there who discover that life today has more attractions than the tomb. They can watch television, for instance.
Is it over?
Oh, well, the man on the television said that there would be a performance at the same time tomorrow.
Oh.
We must be sure not to miss it.
It is getting dark. Time we were getting back. If we want to go, that is.
Well, I'm blowed if I'm going back in there.
Thomas Bowler.
Well, if a man can't swear when he's dead, it's a poor lookout. Blowed, blowed, blowed and damn. There's radio and television, all sorts. Things going on. I don't see why we should go back in there. It's dull. No way.
No way.
That's Australian for certainly not.
See what we've come to. Please welcome the man whose imagination conjured up those spirits, Terry Pratchett. Welcome, Terry. It must be intriguing watching your book lift off the page and end up on television. Were you happy with the adaptation?
I was very, very happy. They really put a lot into it.
Because your kind of writing is completely unique, it seems to me. The Discworld series of books have an amazing following. Now, for those who have lived in a cave in Vladivostok and haven't seen them on the bookshelves, because they're everywhere whenever I go in my bookshop, just sum up what the Discworld books are about.
How long have we got?
Not that long.
This world is a flat world. It's a deliberately ridiculous fantasy world. And I put real people on it, and I dress them as wizards and witches. And they have adventures. But they have all the adventures out of fairy story, but because they are modern people, they think about them differently. I mean, that's about the best way I can think of describing it.
Comparisons are odious, so do you get upset if people say, are you a bit like Tolkien then, or that kind of writer? Is that fair or not?
He's more dead than I am.
Yeah. What about his characters?
And I'm funnier than him.
You're funnier than he's. What's your audience for these books, Terry? Who are they? Who reads them?
Well, in theory, everyone says it's boys called Keith, aged 14 and wearing an anorak, but the fan mail suggests that a lot of the readers are Keith's mum. It seems to be a huge spread now.
We're talking 6 million plus books sold. There aren't that many Keiths in Britain, I guess. Are you surprised at the way they've taken off?
I've been in a state of shock for the last 8 years, in fact, yeah.
Why did you start writing?
It seemed to be better than having to work for a living. You know, I've been doing other jobs, and I just did it as a hobby because it was fun, and people started to buy the books, and one thing led to another.
But you worked for the Central Electricity Generating Board, but you didn't leave there till the mid-80s. I mean, you were a successful writer, presumably, by the time you left, were you?
I knew that I was going to have a good living from writing by the time I left. I'm a cautious person, you know. I wasn't going to starve in a garret somewhere. I worked for the CGB. My job was basically to say, what radiation? There wasn't any radiation. Well, maybe there was a little bit of radiation, but you couldn't even see it was that small.
Oh, you were that way rather than me. Far too much radiation. You weren't that kind.
Oh, we never said that sort of thing.
You never sucked the air over your teeth. When you look at them now, and they've gone to these huge lengths, and you see this latest piece of gadgetry, they've now gone on to CD-ROM, or, well, I say the Discworld books have gone on to CD-ROM, but this isn't completely what was in the books, is it? It's got the characters in it.
There's characters from the books and there's situations from the books, but it's a game. I think the difference is that it's more like navigating a way through a film because there are voices of people like Eric Idle and John Pertwee and Tony Robinson, and half the fun is just listening to what goes on.
Do you get a say in who has the voices? Because I noticed the audio cassettes of the books are read by Tony Robinson. So do you get...
I pushed them in his direction because I knew that he was going to like doing it. And when I heard that Eric Idle was involved, I was over the moon because he was an ideal sort of voice.
Who's this character on here, then?
Well, that character is Rincewind.
Rincewind?
Yes, he's a wizard. He's completely inept. In fact, he's the worst wizard there's ever been. At the start of the game, he really just has to wander around Unseen University where all the wizards tend to hang out and eat big dinners. And really he has to find out what's going on.
So what's he doing now?
Well, let's talk to this particular wizard.
Did he say... What?
Now you can see you can actually, let's be sarcastic.
Another busy day in the faculty, gentlemen?
We are cogitating.
Oh, I hope I heard that right, said in a knowing tone of voice, nudge, nudge.
Cogitating, my lad.
You get your own Monty Python here, well, as Terry Pratchett.
That's the point. When the guys got involved, they all started adding their own things, and it became more and more Python-esque every time Eric Idle got involved. They just started embroidering the game all the way through.
Now, I said this was a CD-ROM. Are we really just talking a video game?
Yes, I mean, with rather more than there has been up to now, I would say. There's about 300 puzzles you have to solve, and there's complete filmic sequences. If you do things right, you know, a small sort of film clip effectively gets shown. But no, it's not a book, there's no text in that sense.
A lot of people worry when they see things like CD-ROM, because you can buy encyclopedias now. You can buy Encyclopedia Britannica on CD-ROM and other encyclopedias too. Do you worry that this kind of gadgetry and gizmo is going to replace the book you open with the lovely pages you lick?
Nope. I can see why you want to replace an encyclopedia with a CD-ROM, because you can move around it fast, and you can go from one thing to another, and it seems an ideal thing to put on a computer. But people pay me to tell them stories. They don't want to work out what the stories are for themselves. They don't want, you know, they don't want me to say, what do you think is going to happen next? You know, I'm supposed to be there to tell them.
Earn your money,
that's my job.
and tell
Besides
me,
which, you can read books in the bath. You drop a computer in the bath, and it's the last book you ever read.
Are you writing now as fast and as voraciously as you did at the beginning?
There's an awful lot of business and fan mail to answer, but yeah, I write all the time if I can.
How do you keep above that, as it were, not let it go to your head? Because I say 6 million books, which, without being rude, I mean, you must be more than a millionaire now. It's a huge, great thing to have landed on you as somebody who used to work for the CEGB. Are you a man whose feet are firmly planted on the ground, or did you find it a bit difficult to cope with?
If you have to spend your head in the air, you know, spend your time professionally with your head in the air, your feet have to be on the ground. You have to know what you're doing all the time. Yeah, I mean, I'm being paid to do what I would do if people didn't pay me. It's a very nice position to be in. And basically what it boils down to is yourself and the keyboard and the screen and the fact there's readers out there. You don't really think about anything else. The money is a kind of way of keeping score.
Have you been approached by Hollywood?
All the time.
All the time? Will you go for it?
Not really, no.
Why? There you are. I mean, you could be another person providing Spielberg with the basis for his film.
Spielberg would be all right, yeah, but these tend to be from guys, you know, like 1897882 Short Street, Los Angeles, who want to buy the rights because they've heard their property, but don't exactly know what they want to do with them. And I've been out there a few times, and I've spoken to the kind of people who, if I said they had the brains of a whelk, I would definitely be doing a disservice to mollusks in general.
Well, if Spielberg rings, then you would be interested.
He knows my number.
I'm glad he does. Thank you very much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Pratchett. Thank you.